Welcome to Betrayal Narratives. Today's story begins with something so cold, so casually cruel, that it changed everything for me. It started with a message, one single line that severed years of silent loyalty and unspoken sacrifices. My phone lit up late at night, and there it was, a text from my sister. No greeting, no explanation, no hint of emotion. Don't bother showing up to the wedding. It's not your day. Just that, no call, no conversation. It's just a glowing screen delivering the kind of dismissal you don't forget. I stared at the words for a long moment, waiting to feel something familiar, hurt, confusion, anger, something. But instead, I laughed. A short, dry, exhausted laugh. The kind you let out when you finally reach the point where nothing surprises you anymore. I closed the message, shut my door on her perfect day, and booked myself a flight to Hawaii. A one-way ticket, no return date. If she didn't want me there, she wouldn't have to see even a shadow of me. 1 week later, while I sat at the airport sipping warm coffee, listening to the low hum of travelers rolling suitcases across glossy tile floors, my phone buzzed so violently it nearly skidded off the table. One notification, then 5, then 17, then 40. By the time I checked, there were 110 missed calls. And trust me, what waited on the other end of those calls was only the beginning. Before I dive into everything that happened, hit like and drop a comment telling me where you're listening from. And tell me, Ev, you ever been pushed so far by your own family that walking away was the only thing left? Your stories remind me that none of us go through this kind of chaos alone. Growing up, I lived in a house where love wasn't love, was performance. Our family was the kind neighbors envied. Freshly cut grass every Saturday morning. Christmas photos with perfectly coordinated outfits. Birthday parties with homemade decorations my mother bragged about as if we were the cover of a magazine. On the outside, we were the family everyone believed had it all together. But behind that polished picture, everything revolved around my older sister, Megan. She wasn't just the golden child. She was the sun we were all expected to orbit. Beautiful, demanding, charismatic to anyone who didn't know her long enough to see the edges. She absorbed attention like oxygen, and the rest of us, especially me, learned how to scrape by with what little air remained. I was the quiet one, the fixer, the shadow that cleaned the mess she left trailing behind her like confetti. When she blasted music and threw parties in high school without permission, she'll de-sleep in the next day while I woke up early to scrub sticky soda spills and stomped in crumbs out of the carpet, hoping our parents wouldn't notice. When she forgot assignments, I helped her finish them. When she broke things, I found a way to repair them before anyone yelled. Our parents never saw a problem with it. "You to balance each other," Mom would say with a tired smile. "Megan's spirited, and you're responsible." What she meant was Megan was the star and I was her stagehand. I existed to make her shine. Her whole life was a performance, and my job was to make sure the spotlight never flickered, even if it meant I had to live in the dark. It was my job to clean up her messes, to absorb the blame when her plans fell apart, and to hand over my own savings when she overspent her allowance. It was a role I played for almost 2 decades. It's a role I thought I'd never escape. But that single text message, the one that tried to erase me from her biggest day, wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning. She wanted me to disappear, to fade into the background one last time. But what she didn't realize was that by pushing me away, she was finally setting me free. She expected me to crumble, to beg for a place at her perfect wedding. Instead, I boarded a plane and left her perfect world behind. And as I flew towards the ocean, towards a life that was finally mine, I had no idea that the chaos I left behind was about to erupt into a full-blown family meltdown. The missed calls were just the first tremor. The earthquake was coming. Responsible was their polite way of saying useful, and useful was the role I learned to play so well that nobody ever wondered if it tired me, if it hurt me, if I ever wanted someone to fix something for me for once. So when Megan got engaged, it wasn't shocking that she turned to me not as her sister, but as her planner. Weddings are my career. I built my event company from nothing. Late nights, early mornings, endless lists, endless deadlines. My work is my craft. I've created unforgettable moments for clients who praised me, recommended me, trusted me. But for Megan, I offered everything for free. Hours of labor, connections built over years, relationships forged through sweat and reliability. I planned her entire event with the kind of dedication I reserved only for clients who truly appreciated me. Deep down, I hoped this time she'd value what I brought to the table. I hoped, maybe, just maybe, she'd look at me like a sister, not a tool. But looking back now, the signs were always there, hidden in the way Mom sighed and said, "Don't make things harder for Megan. It's her special moment." The way Dad's eyes glazed over every time I talked about my business, changing the subject as if my achievements didn't count. They didn't see me only, what I could provide. Still, I poured myself into every detail. Flower arrangements that took hours to perfect. Vendor meetings that stretched late into the night. Spreadsheets, schedules, mood boards, you name it, I handled it. Part of me believed that if I created something flawless, it would finally earn their pride. But a small voice inside whispered a truth I refused to hear. No matter what I gave, it would never be enough. The first crack appeared late one evening. I was unwinding on my couch, flipping through channels when my phone buzzed. "By the way," Megan wrote, "can you cover the florist's remaining balance? Your deposit didn't cover it." No, please. No, thank you. Just expectation, just assumption. I stared at the message. My throat tightened briefly, but I typed back. "I already paid the deposit. That was my gift. I can't cover the rest." Her response came instantly. "Don't make this a big deal. It's just money. Just money." Easy for her to say she'd never paid for anything herself. A few days later, I tried to talk to my mother, hoping she would, for once, support me. We sat in her kitchen, the same kitchen where I learned to bake cookies beside her as a child now. A place that felt foreign. The smell of fresh coffee drifted in the air as I explained what happened. Mom sighed. "Honey, Megan is under a lot of stress. Don't add to it. If you can help, you should help." That's what family does. Family, a word they used only when they needed something from me. But the breaking point came when Dad called. His tone was cheerful at first. "So, sweetheart, we all pitching in for Megan and Alex's wedding gift, a down payment for their first house." My hand tightened around the phone. "Dad, I'm not even invited to the wedding anymore." A pause. Then his voice turned hard. "This isn't about the wedding, Clara. Don't punish your sister over one little seating issue. One little seating issue." They erased me from the entire event hand. He reduced it to that. But humiliation didn't stop there. One night, I scrolled through Instagram and stumbled onto pictures from Megan's bridal shower. The same garden venue I had personally scouted. Bridesmaids wearing matching dresses I helped choose. Everyone smiling, laughing, clinking glasses. And there front and center was Megan, glowing. The caption read, "The A-team celebrating the bride-to-be." I wasn't in the picture, wasn't part of the A-team, wasn't anything to them, not even an afterthought. Something inside me twisted. A cold electric anger hum filled my chest. Not explosive, not dramatic, just sharp clarity. 10 days before the wedding, my phone rang again. Megan's voice burst through the speaker. "The band canceled. Their lead singer is sick. Fix this, Clara. The wedding is in 10 days. Her tone was the breaking point. The entitlement, the expectation, the assumption that I was still hers to command. "I'm not your planner anymore," I replied calmly. Silence. Then a screech. "You're kidding me. After everything I've done for you? You're being petty." I didn't argue. I hung up. For the first time in my life, I didn't fold. What came next was clarity as sharp as glass. I pulled out every contract related to the wedding. My business name sat at the top of every one. Collins Events LLC. Not Megan, not my parents, me. According to each document, the final balances were due exactly 7 days before the event. If payments weren't made, the contracts became void automatically. The wedding didn't belong to Megan, it belonged to me. I sought confirmation from Sarah, my lawyer friend, the one who helped me draft these contracts years ago. We met at a cozy cafe filled with cinnamon aromas and soft chatter. She reviewed everything with calm efficiency before finally looking up. Ava, she's seducing my name the way only close friends do. You're the client of record. Legally, every vendor answers to you. If the final payments aren't made, you have every right to cancel. Her words settled into me like steady ground beneath tired feet. I wasn't powerless. That night, I drafted 4 emails: polite, professional, emotionless. As the client on record, I will not be remitting the final payment. Please consider this notice of cancellation effective immediately. Kindly refund the deposit to my business account. I didn't act out of fury. I acted out of self-respect. I scheduled the emails for 9 a.m. when morning came. I brewed coffee, sat by the window, and watched as the digital clock quietly ticked to the hour. At 9 a.m., my laptop chimed softly. The emails were sent. No drama, no noise. Peaceful. Final hours later, the fallout began. The venue called Megan first, then the caterer, then the florist, then the linen company. One after another. No final payment was received. The booking has been released. The contract is void. The dominoes fell exactly as expected. My phone rang. Megan, I let it buzz twice before answering on speaker. What did you do? She screamed. Behind her voice, I heard chaos, my parents shouting. People pacing, voices overlapping in panic. I lifted my coffee calmly. I didn't do anything. I simply chose not to pay for a wedding I wasn't invited to. You destroyed my wedding out of spite. No, I said evenly. You destroyed your own wedding the moment you decided I didn't matter. You can't erase me and still expect my work to stand behind you. My mother's voice suddenly cut in, sharp enough to slice glass. Ava, how dare you? Fix this right now. I can't, I answered. It's done. Dad shouted that I needed to return the refunded deposits. No, I said calmly. The work was mine. The deposits were never a gift. They were business. For a moment, the line went silent. Then Megan hissed. You're pathetic, jealous. You'll die alone with your spreadsheets and your stupid contracts. No one will ever love you the way we love Megan. It hurt. I won't pretend it didn't, but I inhaled, steadying myself. Maybe, I said softly, but at least I won't spend my life begging people who only know how to take. The silence that followed was heavy. The truth tends to land harder than any insult. I ended the call, and for the first time in my entire life, my hand didn't shake. My father showed up at my apartment days later, pounding on the door, demanding I come fix the family disaster. I stayed upstairs with the lights off, watching from the window as he eventually gave up. I didn't cave, not this time. But the wedding day came with or without me, while Megan scrambled, calling everyone she could find, begging vendors already booked months in advance. Rearranging whatever scraps were left, I sat at the airport with my suitcase beside me. I ordered a coffee, silenced my phone, and handed over my boarding pass. As the plane lifted into the sky, I pictured Megan in a half-decorated backyard, wearing a dress she once bragged cost more than my rent, standing in a space that looked nothing like the wedding she imagined. Not because I sabotaged her, but because I finally stopped holding everything together for her. News trickled in through cousins over the next few days. The wedding had turned into a backyard scramble with plastic tables, mismatched chairs, and pizza delivery instead of catered meals. Angry relatives left early. Photos barely surfaced online, and the ones that did, Megan looked furious. My parents wrote me a long, guilt-soaked email. You embarrassed us. You ruined your sister's big moment. Family sticks together. I deleted it without replying. Instead, I focused on myself for once. With the refunded deposits, I upgraded my business equipment, booked new clients who valued me, paid me, appreciated me. I no longer felt drained. I no longer felt invisible. Then Hawaii wrapped around me with sun-warmed breezes and soft waves brushing my feet as I walked along the coastline at sunrise. The sky painted itself with colors no camera could ever fully capture. The air smelled like peace, real peace. I thought of my grandmother, the only family member who had ever truly seen me. She once told me, "Your worth isn't measured by what you give away, but by what you choose to keep." Standing there, listening to the waves roll in, I finally understood. They lost me, and I didn't lose anything at all. Family can wound you in ways no stranger ever could. They know exactly where to cut, and for years, allowed myself to bleed quietly simply because we shared DNA. But sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away, not out of spite, not out of anger, but out of self-preservation. I didn't destroy my sister's wedding. I simply stopped sacrificing myself to make her shine. And in the end, I learned something powerful. My worth was never theirs to decide. If you've ever had to stand up to family who tried to erase you, you've ever had to protect your own peace even when people called you selfish, you've ever walked away from people who only loved the version of you that benefited them, you are not alone. Share your story in the comments. I'll be reading them. And subscribe, because the next story might be the reminder you need that your strength is still there, even when others refuse to see it.